Testing audio, 1, 2, 3.
Testing audio, 1, 2, 3.
Testing audio, 1, 2, 3.
Audio check for Francis. Can you hear us now?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Francis.
Glad to see you with us.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jesse Saunders, and I'm the Director of Gallaudet Youth Programs. I'm honored to partner with the Center for Democracy in Deaf America and Gallaudet's first ever debate team in hosting this demo to launch our debate bowl for high school and middle school students this spring. On this slide, there's a picture of Gallaudet's Chapel Hall and the well-known tower clock at night with the lights on in each of the windows with the words Gallaudet University above the image of Chapel Hall. The inaugural debate team will debate an important and interesting controversy that was quite visible last week. They will debate the proposition the Electoral College should be replaced with the popular vote. The team has been divided into two groups, one for and another against. Rommel Thurman will be arguing in the affirmative, which means he will be arguing against the Electoral College and for the popular vote instead. Aubrey Moorman will be arguing in the negative, which means he will be arguing to defend the Electoral College. Please remember that we will have a Q&A session after the debate with Gallaudet's debate team head coach, Dr. Brendan Stern, and myself. We will explain the basic outline for the debate bowl for middle school and high school students next spring, and then answer any questions you may have. Please stay with us on Zoom. We'll share the meeting ID afterwards for that streaming. Please enjoy the debate tonight. And I hope you decide to join the debate bowl this spring. I'd like with that to introduce our two judges for the debate. We have Dr. Raja Kulshalnagar and Dr. Jeannie Gertz, who will now speak to the judging criteria.
Hello and good evening. Thank you, Jesse. The two of us are so thrilled to be here this evening, to be able to have an opportunity to judge this debate, this competition is so exciting. So now we'd like to clearly slate some of the rules that we'll have this evening. You'll see a slide with a blue gavel on the left, and on the right, there's white writing that explains the debate criteria. To be clear, both Raja and I are not experts in judging debates. We are just going to keep our focus primarily on the criteria as you see them listed here. So I will turn it over to Raja to tell us a little more.
Absolutely. For this debate, we'll be focusing on several different criteria. The first is the overarching big picture, the overview of the debate that the debaters engage in.
Next up is civility.
We'll also be looking at the use of compelling evidence, a content that is not just based on emotional terms, but really a convincing argument. We'll be judging them on the content of what they share with us.
The next term listed is storytelling. We are going to be taking into account how they're presenting their argument.
We want to make sure that they give responses to the questions that are pointed, comprehensive, and cohesive, so that it is an entire compelling argument.
Also, passion and strength. The passion with which and the conviction with which they'll be presenting their arguments. Raja?
Based on these criteria, the two of us will compare our score sheets and vote on the winner. We hope you enjoy watching tonight's debate, and we'll see who comes out on top. Now I'd like to welcome Intabelang McDonald who will be moderating today's debate.
Thank you, and good luck, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ntabalang. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I graduated from the New Mexico School for the Deaf in 2019, and I'm currently a sophomore at Gallaudet, majoring in psychology with a minor in biology and a pre-med track. I'm also a proud member of Gallaudet's inaugural debate team. Before I proceed, here's an image description. There is a check mark on the top right of the screen with a list of the debate structure on the slide. Give you a moment to read the debate structure. The debaters will be taking turns, and they will have a timer, although they don't have to use the entire time that they have been allotted. Without further ado, let me introduce our debaters. Ramel Thurman will be debating the affirmative, meaning in support. And Aubrey Mormon will debate the negative side, in opposition. Let the show begin. I'm going to ask the two of them to join us now.
Hello, hello.
Hi there.
Hello, hello. We begin with the opening. Ramel?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramel, and I am a Gallaudet student double majoring in political science and government. I will start with my opening statement now. I'd like to take a moment to thank our distinguished judges and everyone who worked to bring us here tonight, also to my opponent as well. I want to talk a bit about the sign for democracy, sign this way. Democracy itself is a political system. When I sign it this way with the D, I'm not talking about Republican or Democrat. I might say red or blue to specify which party I'm talking about, but the D will often signify democracy. I have three arguments in opposition of the Electoral College. It is racist, it is elitist, and it is undemocratic. The Electoral College was agreed upon as a concession to slave states. The Electoral College was given to Southern states because of their defense, showing its inherent racism. I've spoken with family and friends and talked to them in depth about the political system. If you would have asked me 5 months about the Electoral College, I could not have spoken to what it entailed. I couldn't have told you about it. It is very complex. Even President Trump has lambasted the Electoral College, proving its elitism. The elite of the elite were the people who were expected to understand the Electoral College system. In terms of the ways in which it's undemocratic, let me tell you a little more. Majority control means that if people vote for a president or vote for your class president or the student body government president, you know that out of all the people who vote, the highest number of the voters should be able to say who wins. Let's think about a flight on air democracy. You have a number of people who are looking forward to vacation. They're very excited in their seats. And the stewardess comes and says, okay, you have to vote now. Are we traveling to Hawaii? Or are we traveling to Alaska? And folks are getting ready to cast their ballots. They're excited. Hawaii, the folks stand up, they cheer, they want to see the island of Hawaii. And then next up, they ask, okay, who's in favor of Alaska? And it's a very small number of folks who wave their hands in support of visiting Alaska. Okay, so the stewardess then announces to everybody that Alaska wins, even though more people voted to visit the state of Hawaii. So the stewardess calms down the unruly crowd and says, let's think about Ohio, Pennsylvania, and other places. They have the mostly densely populated states, and the others like California, Texas, and Pennsylvania aren't as important. So we're going to Alaska. This is undemocratic. How does that system even make sense? 70% of the voters in America have been ignored in the past election campaigns. 94% of our candidates focus on 12 battleground states that are highly contested in order to win the vote and win their candidacy. So what I'm telling you now, that the definition of democracy is rooted in the Greek words for people and the control. Democracy is the voice of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramel. Before we turn it over to Aubrey, I forgot to say when I first opened up this section of the evening, the proposition for the debate, which is that the Electoral College should be replaced with the popular vote. It was Ramel's job to convince us that that is in fact true, that the Electoral College ought to be replaced with the popular vote. It is Aubrey's responsibility to argue the opposite, that we ought to hold on to the Electoral College. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to the audience watching. Aubrey, if you're available, if you're ready, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aubrey Mormon. And I'd like first to thank all the people who have brought me to this seat today. I'd like to thank my team. I would like to thank Catalina, Nicole, and Julianne, without whom I would not be prepared for today's audience. And thank you to our audience. This is a great treat. And thank you also to the Center for Democracy in Deaf America and Gallaudet Youth Programs for sponsoring this. I'd like to respond to Ramel and also acknowledging that he raised some great points in favor of the popular vote. I, of course, am here with the intent of disagreeing with you this evening, but I propose that the Electoral College is the wisest way to hold an election. A governing body should be elected by electoral vote. Constitutionally, it is established that way, and we look to our democratic systems to protect us from systems like communism and things like that. And of course, we don't want that. But imagine that we are looking at power concentrated in states. So let's look at a state like Pennsylvania. In the election, was won by Biden because he won the popular vote within that state. But let's back this up and explain why the Electoral College is best. First of all, there are three reasons. The first is because of the effect of elitism. The other is the ability to protect majority rights and minority communities. And the third being that it provides a system of checks and balances against the tyranny of the majority. History has shown the majority control so often leads to the tyranny of the majority. If we are to continue with the popular vote, I believe that that will necessarily lead to the tyranny of the majority and won't focus on minority communities, minority rights specifically, which are so critical. And I believe that's why it's so critical to use the Electoral College instead of the popular vote. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aubrey. Now for the affirmative rebuttal, Ramel.
Thank you so much, Aubrey, my esteemed opponent. You brought up India and China, two quite large countries, and I agree with that point. However, if you think about the world on a global scale, we're not in this moment. We're thinking about America specifically. The popular vote is the best way because it encourages all presidential candidates to travel and actually visit each state, even the tiniest of our states. You talked about the tyranny of the majority, and I agree with that argument. I understand it quite well. However, the Electoral College is very harmful to a number of states. The reason being, it's winner takes all. In a winner takes all approach, as an example, in Trump and Hillary's campaign, which was highly contested in Pennsylvania, the moment that Trump surpassed her, all 20 of the electoral votes were given to Trump and none were given to Hillary. Think about that in a sports match. You're 49 to 51. By the time runs out, you recognize that the referee might look and determine who the winner is. But all 49 of those votes or those points are still given to the group or the candidate who earned them. Small states are harmed in this process. One battleground state of New Hampshire might be included in this count, but those 12 battleground states are the primary focus for all the candidacy, basically ignoring the choice in the vote of the constituency in the rest of the United States. One of the main problems with the Electoral College is that it ignores the voice of the people. There are millions of people that are completely ignored and abandoned in this process. And the winner takes all and Electoral College system is not the right way to go about electing the president. It should be a popular vote because it's the most equitable way to go about it for all Americans.
Thank you, Ramel. Aubrey, a negative rebuttal, you have the floor.
So, Romo, you brought up a number of excellent points. I really appreciate those. I want to use your basketball metaphor. Let's imagine that we've reached the championships, right? And so it's a game 7, right? And it's best out of 7. So when you've won 4 out of 7, you've won the championship. The same is true of the Electoral College. When you have won more of the state's popular vote for each of the areas of that state, you've won the state. The people have voted, their voices are important, but this is how they are made important. The elector and the Electoral College has to vote for who they've said for in that state. And it hurts the small states to have popular vote because when the Electoral College was created, in essence, to give small states more of a voice. Because at a time when only 20% of the population could vote, only white male landowners could vote. Now, today, we've come to a time when we have a black female vice president. This represents a tidal shift from where we were then and where we are now. The Electoral College, though, is the best approach to voting for our elections. And there have been, many amendments and attempts to create, to eradicate and abolish the Electoral College. But think of how many, 700, right? Well, I'm talking about 700 attempts to abolish it, and yet it stands firm. And so if it passed the test of time and can support both minority rights and still allow for majority control of many systems, then it seems best and fairest to proceed with it in support of our democracy.
Thank you, Aubrey. Now the debaters are going to have a bit of a break to come up with a crossfire question. While the debaters have a minute to develop a crossfire question, I'd like to talk a bit about the debate team at Gallaudet, which has 10 student debaters now. We've been meeting regularly in class to practice and prepare for future intramural debates this semester and intercollegiate debates next semester, where we will be debating against other colleges and universities. We will also have a debate bowl for middle school and high school students next spring. That's super exciting. If you're interested in trying out, please stay after tonight's event for a Q&A session. You'll learn more about the debate bowl. Now for the crossfire question. Each person will ask one question apiece, and they'll have 1:30 on the clock. At this point, I will invite Ramel and Aubrey to rejoin us, and we'll start the crossfire.
Do I go first this time? Who's first?
Ramel
okay.
will go first.
I remember you mentioning a fact about the small states being oppressed in the electoral college system. In terms of small states, I think that they are overrepresented in the electoral college for the number of votes that they get. For 1 million people, they might get 4 votes. This seems disproportionate to me. So I am wondering how you can say that votes in general can be counted in that way, and how can you ensure that all votes are considered equal?
As I mentioned previously, there have been 700 attempts to amend the Constitution and remove the Electoral College. Our founding fathers didn't envision that California would boom into the population it has, but they created a system that's capable of adjustment and has been fair over time. There are great controversies over, voting nationwide, and claims of widespread electoral fraud, but there has not been any evidence of that. Mail-in ballots that arrived after election day, but were certified to have been mailed on election day, are intended to be counted. Every vote will be counted. Every vote will be heard, whether large state or small state. Their voices must be heard and engaged in our democracy.
Okay, thank you. Aubrey will now ask Ramel a question.
All right, Romel, my man. Now, as you know, the Electoral College gives smaller states the opportunity to make headway in our presidential elections. The city of New York has a population that's larger than Nebraska, West Virginia, Hawaii, Vermont, and Wyoming combined. So if we switch to a purely popular vote, how could we prevent presidential elections from ignoring small cities and only bowing to the will of large cities and kill 2 birds with 1 stone?
That is a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. The popular vote encourages, again, as I mentioned previously, encourages the candidates to visit all 50 states during their campaign, as opposed to focusing on the 12 battleground states. 12 states out of 50? If you visit all 50 states, you're visiting the smaller communities. When you vote for your governor, that vote is based on the popular vote throughout the country. The popular vote is already a proven method for a number of different communities, regardless of their size, whether they're exurbs or suburbs. And people have defended this, that each person and each vote is critical from their constituency. They want to see each vote counted. The presidential campaigns and elections should not focus merely on the Electoral College, but on a popular vote system and letting every American voice be heard. This is crucial to our democracy. A high percentage of if we see a high percentage of a popular vote, people will accept it. The Electoral College has been a mess, as you can see. The popular vote does not allow for any wiggle room in the process.
All right, well, thank you both for your responses. We will now have another 1-minute break for our debaters to prepare their closing statements and for the judges to agree on one question to ask each debater. While they're coming up with their closing statements, I do want to share a few remarks. Please know that successful people, from Nelson Mandela to Kamala Harris, were competitive debaters in college. That's one of the many reasons why you should consider joining the Debate Bowl for high school and middle school students that's hosted by Gallaudet Youth Programs and the Center for Democracy in Deaf America next semester. More details will be announced after the debate tonight. And now it's time for our judges to ask the questions they've agreed on. Dr. Raja Kushalnagar and Dr. Jeannie Gertz. Please join us.
Yes, of course.
And actually, Ramel and Aubrey will join us as well, so they can get in position.
All right. Thank you to the both of you for your opening statements, your rebuttals, and your crossfire questions. You've done a fabulous job, and now it is our turn to ask a few questions of each of you. The same question will be asked to you both, and we'll start with Romel. You know, the founding fathers of the United States of America established the Electoral College more than 200 years ago. Do you believe that that vision is still suitable for the progress that our democracy has made today? Tell us a little bit about why or why not. That is a great question. Thank you. When the founding fathers were negotiating the northern and the southern rural and slave states, our democracy did not look anything like it did back then. Think about the advent of technology and how technology allows us to mass communicate with one another in America. So it wasn't something that they envisioned. All of the progress that has been made in selecting a president by the Electoral College is quite messy. James Madison had a very, very famous quote. And he recognized that the popular vote was best suited for choosing a president. He said that over 200 years ago. But the problem is that the slave states would not concede. A number of folks at the time supported the popular vote option. And James Madison said that it wasn't going to happen. Folks voted for the Electoral College thinking that they would have a direct vote with the president, for the president. However, he knew that the popular vote was going to be the best way to do it. And they had no idea what our world would look like today. Okay, thank you. And now we will turn it over to Aubrey. Aubrey, could you please answer that question?
Thank you for the opportunity to respond to that. Great question. I think indeed our founding fathers, and as mentioned, our country would not exist as it does today with the technologies and advances we have today without them. But I want to focus on two particular states. Nebraska and Maine, they have a very different kind of electoral college system than other states. They don't have a winner take all approach. In fact, the top two winners are based on the state's popular vote and the other state based on district vote can award split electoral college votes. And so it is possible for a candidate to win 3-1 or 2 of 3, for example. And so if we were to respond nationwide with similar systems, then the Electoral College could more adequately represent smaller districts and perhaps be a fairer approach. But the popular vote seems a great approach, but it's perhaps outdated. So the Electoral College still is the best way to safeguard our future, as I see it.
Thank you both for those great responses, and we'll hand it back over to Intabenheim. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you all. Now it's time for the closing statement. We will begin with the affirmative. Ramel, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Here's my closing statement. But first, a thank you to the judges, our moderator, and my opponent, Aubrey. James Madison remarked that the establishment of the Electoral College was not their finest hour. It happened amidst frustration, argument, and it was a patch-up job, almost like a Frankenstein type agreement to come to. Everybody was in a rush to get home to their wives at the time. Our founding fathers had no regard for the efficiency of this system. The founding fathers valued protecting liberty and freedom. But we don't have the liberty of electing our president directly. Ownership equals power. President Trump tweeted in 2012 and announced to the world that the Electoral College is a disaster for a democracy. That says quite a lot. So again, as I've stated previously, the founding fathers had a complete lack of regard for you in this manner. When we establish the idea of a democracy, it's something that we must do for ourselves.
All right, and now it is time for the negative closing statement. That's on you, Aubrey. You ready?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, hopefully some of us are sports fans. So I have to admit, I'm a Cowboys fan. Unfortunately, we didn't do great this year. But keep in mind that my point, hey, wait a minute, hold up. All right. So keep in mind my point about, darn it. Oh, can I request a time redo for that interruption? No, I can't. No.
You know, that's
And
actually a good question. Let me check.
Was I interrupted? Do I get any more time? Do I get to roll? What?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. We'll reset the timer, Aubrey, and you'll take it away.
All right.
Are you ready? Okay, let's go.
So I'm sure some of us are sports fans out there. I'm a Cowboys fan, and unfortunately, we didn't do that well this year. But to revisit my point that I've made before, if we had a Super Bowl and our teams weren't based on who scored the most points, most total points throughout a year, but popularity contest, think about the way that our electoral college is based on 50 states and the popular vote within each. If you win more states, you've won more people. More people have voted for you. And so I believe that the electoral college is the best approach to voting to protect human rights. It's a way of protecting minority rights and marginalized communities. Also, a way to protect us against elitism and to serve as a check and balance against the tyranny of a majority. And to make things a little clearer, you don't have to believe me. Think about my opponent. And, the Electoral College elected a person who thought the best way to deal with COVID was to inject bleach. The popular vote might have its benefits, but it definitely has its drawbacks, in my opinion. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the CDDA for hosting the event. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, thank you, Ramel and
Like that.
Aubrey. The two of you can go ahead and turn your cameras off. We are waiting for the judges to fill out their scoring sheet, announce the victor, and discuss their thoughts.
All right.
I think in just a minute, we're going to get the slide up so that I can introduce. Oh, they're working on getting the slide up. I had not actually been on a debate team before I joined Gallaudet's team this semester. And last year, I joined the Debate Society when it was just first founded. And then I joined the team. I really wanted to improve my public speaking skills. And ever since I have joined the team, I've just enjoyed it so much because the ability to talk to people, practice those skills, get a variety of perspectives on different issues has just been great. Sometimes you feel like I couldn't agree more or disagree more with something that's said. And sometimes you're not sure what you think. And so I think for middle and high school students, it's a valuable opportunity to get involved with the debate bowl that is going to be happening next semester. And whether you end up coming to Gallaudet or attending another university, these are skills that will serve you well. And like I said, we're going to be working with and against other colleges and universities, and debate skills will help you in terms of developing your confidence, your self-esteem, your public speaking skills as well. Yeah, so it's just been a great ride. All right, well, we are waiting for Dr. Kushal Nagar and Dr. Gertz to fill out the scoring sheet, announce the victor, and discuss their thoughts. I'm going to share with you a bit about debating and why it's so important for today's youth to learn how to debate. I spoke to it briefly, but too often disagreements become ugly and nobody learns from them. If we all learn how to debate with civility and respect, we'll be able to learn more from each other. And with mutual respect, we can debate without rancor. If you're in middle school or high school and you're interested in joining the debate bowl competition next spring, please stay after our debate concludes this evening because we will have a Q&A session for students, parents, and coaches to learn more about the debate bowl. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call Ramel, Aubrey, Dr. Kushal Nagar, and Dr. Gertz back to the stage. Hello again.
Hello there.
Hello again. Good job, Ramel.
You too, ma'am. Beautiful job.
I think the judges will be joining us shortly. We'll just give them a second.
Yeah, I'm excited to see.
We'll see how close it is.
I know, got to see what they say.
Good work to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, folks. We were discussing it offline, but now we are ready.
Hello, hello, and welcome.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. All right, both Raja and I would like to extend a very warm congratulations to the both of you for your very well thought out and well presented arguments. This really was not an easy task for the two of us. You know, when you really want to persuade someone and you really want to be able to feel like you can relate with their argument, you both did so well at that. Our decision has nothing to do with the topic at hand. We might personally support the abolition of the Electoral College, or we might be in favor of its continuance. However, we voted for you based on the criteria that were presented at the beginning. And again, we want to applaud both of you in your efforts tonight. The two of us have decided that the winner this evening of the debate was Aubrey.
Thank you.
Congratulate you. And again, we do want to emphasize that Romel, you did a tremendous job this evening as well, handling a very complicated task. And we were really convinced based on certain criteria that I'll speak to now. Aubrey had a really nice setup of the overarching big picture, gave us the 30,000 foot view, and then went from there. We could really feel his passion and the strength that he brought to his argument and convictions. That was very compelling evidence that got us to his final point. He was able to bring in a lot of election examples from the very recent past, tie those arguments together to really compel us in his argument. And that was crucial in the presentation of his facts in the debate. In his crossfire question and in his rebuttal, we found him to be very, very ardent. And we do want to congratulate both of you on a job well done. Romel, great job to you as well. One thing that really stood out and impressed the two of us is how you presented and shared your story. Your storytelling aspects were wonderful. We could tell that you were very civil and the passion was there in your arguments. However, that really overarching big picture, that 30,000 foot view was lacking for us to really build up to the foundation of your argument and for it to resonate with the two of us as judges. The use of compelling evidence, as stated, and real world examples that tied in with the story that you created, I think will make for a more robust argument for you in the future. And I think that's it in sum. I think that you both did a really, really wonderful job. If there's anything that either of you want to add now, feel free. Raja?
Just want to say you hit all the points I would have made. The stories really become compelling at the closing. The closing argument is where you wrapped it all up. And you really supported, both of you did a fine job in supporting your points. It was a pleasure to be here tonight with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did enjoy being here and quite certainly learned a few facts from the two of you this evening. So thank you for teaching us in this process. Great, thank you.
Glad you enjoyed it.
All right. Well, congratulations to Aubrey, and really thank you to both of you for outstanding debate and making time in your busy schedule to give us a different lens through which to understand the role of voting in our society. And at this point, I will turn the stage over to Jessie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hello.
And in Tatalang, thank you again, and great job as always for hosting our debate this evening. Very well done.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So now, wow, how much fun was that to watch that heated debate? I could not take my eyes off the screen. Both of them presented very compelling arguments and opposing viewpoints, and it's really critical for us to have a deeper understanding of what took place last week in America. I'm so excited about the debate bowl that's coming up this spring for high school students. It'll be co-hosted by Gallaudet's youth program and CDDA. So now we're going to tell you a bit more about the process. And once we are finished, we are going to host a separate Q&A for students, parents, coaches, and teachers to ask questions of us after this. It'll be posted in the Facebook comments. There'll be a link there for you to utilize.
So I want to talk a little bit about why debate is so important. But first, I have to congratulate Aubrey and Rommel both for really having the courage to step up here on such a platform and debate critical issues at a critical time. And in fact, Aubrey and Rommel have just competed in their very first debate tonight. And the two of them literally declared their majors in government 2 weeks ago. So they have been hard at work studying. The electoral college is no easy system to understand. And they've really dug their heels in to prepare for tonight. I want to congratulate them for some work well done. Now, also to respond to your question, why is debate so critical at this time? It's such a beneficial skill to have in a democratic society. If we want to have more of what we want in a free democracy, there are three ways to go about getting that. You can bribe someone, you can coerce someone to get what you want, and neither of those are good options in a free society. So what we're left with is to persuade. If you want to get a home loan extension, all right, if you want to get an extension on your homework correction and the interpretation, then you have to convince your teacher that your reason is worthwhile, right? And I'm a hard one to convince of that, but yeah, it sometimes works. But we need a more equitable country. We need change in our country, and we have to be able to persuade people towards that goal. Also, just on a social level, research shows that debate is important for minority success because it forces others to look across the aisle to different views, greater civility. And that is why agents of change, you talk about Nelson Mandela being such an adept debater. And I said that bribery isn't a great approach to doing things, but I got to tell you, the debate bowl coming up, we're going to have prizes. So we're maybe doing a little bribery. So we're going to have $150 and $100 prizes. So we're doing that just to try to give greater incentive to get people to sign up into that debate bowl. So now, tell me more about the program and how it's going to work, Jesse.
Certainly, I'd be delighted to. We'll have a number of different stages. First step will be the qualifying stage. If you're interested and will like to join, the qualifying stage will consist of a 3 to 5 minute video of the student doing a persuasive speech with some of the following questions. For high schoolers, one of them, should the voting age be reduced to 16? That is the question for the high school students. For middle schoolers, the question is, should grades be abolished in middle school? So for the qualifying stage, you will submit a 3 to 5 minute video with a registration form that has everything available. Will be on our youth programs website and will go live by tomorrow. You can pick either being in support of or against those arguments and those questions that I recently shared for the qualifying stage. The judging will be led by Bren's debate team, his class, and they will be taking a look at the submissions to pick the top four from both the high school and another 4 from the middle school categories. They will compete in the semifinal stage. If we get a lot of entries, we might consider widening the pool. However, if we get an adequate number, we will just jump directly to the semifinal stage. When we have the winners of the semifinal round, We'll have two debaters left for both categories, and that'll move us right into the finals. The finals will be, told to the group sometime before that, and the events will be live streamed on Facebook. So you might be asking when. Bren, can you help us out there?
Sure. So the middle school and high school, unpopular opinion here, middle school, I think, they shouldn't be prohibited from that. No, in fact, they should have even more homework. That's my opinion. Yeah, I can argue it.
Do we even need grades?
And I think the voting age should be 35, because you can't even run for president. If you can't run for president, why should you be permitted to vote for one? But I'm going to leave that out there for all of you to discuss. But now to speak to the when of things. If you are an eager beaver ready to jump in and join these high school and middle school debate bowls with the persuasive speech and deadlines, go ahead and start tonight, or you can wait for a little time to prepare. I suggest that you prepare, and then the deadline is actually going to be January 29th of 2021 to submit your entry. Then it'll be judged, screened out, then we'll have the semifinals be hosted the first week of March 1st through 5th. Then the winners of that round will proceed to finals. Those will be held April 12th through 16th. Now, if you're wondering, how that's going to work, Jesse, tell us more about it.
Right. I'm sure there are many burning questions with everybody in the audience now. So if you do have those, please feel free to join our Q&A. We're going to post that information in the Zoom now. Once that happens, we will conclude the live streaming portion of this. The Q&A will be private and not public like the debate was. So we do hope that you will join us. And thank you so much for coming to the live stream tonight. Brendan and I will stay back for the